Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm PJ Noodleman, joined by my co-host from the Midwest Racing Connection, Mr. Dan Plan. Hi, Dan.
Hello, good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Our guest this week is from the Rockford Speedway, Mr. David Deery. Hello, David.
Good evening, all.
And your camera is off for a very good reason, and that is because you were kind of trying on some things that going to be big secret for the National Short Track Championships, and you didn't want to show that, right?
Behind that black wall is the mystery, so we'll just leave it at that.
You do have a big event coming up. It's not just the National Short Track Championships, but it is the final National Short Track Championships. It's a big deal. There's a lot of buzz. A lot of folks are looking at dusting off their cars and getting some sponsors together to come on out one final time. That's pretty cool.
Well, that's, yes, for short track championships, and we've experienced that this whole summer. Honestly, we've had guys that haven't raced in 20 years, guys that haven't raced in a long time. But you're right, there's a lot of short track activities coming up and excitement for that weekend. And it'll be a good one. You know, after 57 years, this being the 58th, there's a lot of history on that weekend itself. So,
For sure. And you're doing something even extra special too, even beyond the season. Going into October, you're running a couple of other specials yet for this final season. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
yes, we'll do Saturday night's our Night of Thrills, a big fun event. And then we'll do an Enduro that September 24th, excuse me. Big 8 late models is at the Dells on that Saturday. And then it's National Short Track Championships. And then we'll do another Enduro in there. And then we come back with Bahama Bracket Nationals. And then following Bahama Brackets, October 21st and 28th, it's Saturdays. When I put the schedule together, it's just going to be the last year at Rockford. So how do you end that? Quite a task to end something after 76 years, but back in March or wherever you put the schedules together, even earlier than then, I thought let's have these weekends and basically honor all the divisions that have raced at Rockford, our weekly stuff. Now, if I did everybody, I'd need every division or car we've ever had would need a whole month. So the first weekend is our bandits, our short trackers, our sportsmen, sixers, and all our lower class divisions. And that's on Saturday, October 21st. And then on the 28th, which will be the last racing event at Rockford, it'll be the late models, road runners, the vintage cars will be there. We're doing a figure 8, and we're going to throw in spectacular drags. I might have missed a few in there, but those were the last weekend as our core divisions, core things that have made Rockford popular. Been there the longest, the midgets, that's how it all started. And then we evolved into the late model and road runners. Back in the day, there was only 2 divisions, the late models and these road runner cars. And obviously we've grown from there, and our spectacular drags are a huge hit. And I thought that would be a fun way on that last night. And then you throw in a figure 8 race, because not a lot of places do figure 8. And Rockford's been known for that for all those years. So it'll be fun. It's going to be a crazy month. As we move along, we're beginning construction on the front part of the property. So be prepared for some of these events. The pit areas and the camping areas are changing and going to be altered. So that's a new twist into the puzzle as we go ahead of these remaining events.
Mm. Does it seem to you, David, that this year has flown by, or has it gone slow?
Oh my, it's incredibly fast, like supersonic fast. And I don't think that's just me. I think that's all of us. I don't know if it's the old adage, the older you get, but no, I can't believe it. It's in September already.
Yeah.
Cold
Have
weather's
you,
coming.
what was that?
Cold weather is coming.
Yeah, it is. We're already starting to feel that a bit. Have you had time to actually just kind of drink it all in, or have you just been running ass over tea kettle and not able to really enjoy much?
running ass all over. It's
Yeah.
and that's people. Oh, well, really, when it first hit me, and I could share this with you on July 4th weekend. I'm on the ramp, the extra entrance ramp to the racetrack, and we did the midnight ride of Paul Revere, where we run our Roadrunner feature race, and we kill all the track lights, and they got a little spotlight on the roof, and we had a full house. The race was outstanding, and I could feel the bumps in my arms, the chills, and that's when it really hit me. It's like, wow, this is the last time I'm ever going to see this at Rockford Speedway. Been
Mm.
doing great up until that point, and then now it's just craziness. Time's flying, and last Saturday being our championship for the weekly divisions, that one was a little rough too. But yeah, I can't stop and go back. I got to keep. I'm working. I got to keep these shows going. I gotta, it's got to happen, and I can't slow down for that. But it's tough. I'll tell you that.
What's it going to be like for you once we get to the end of the season?
Well, time off. I'm looking forward to that. I'll say that. A little relief. Yeah, I don't know. I will enjoy the videos that get put out and all the comments and the history that. But on the other hand, right now I'm already working on next year, and it's not Rockford obviously, but I'm working on the Big Eight late model series, continuing that, making that bigger and better. Working on taking some of the Rockford key events to other facilities. Our Spring Classic, our Bahama Brackets, our Short Track, our Goblin. All these events have so much history, and there's facilities that want to take them on and continue the legacy at Rockford or that event. So trying to do your regular season and do a whole different season next year, that's quite a task, but that's kind of what's on my plate lately.
I'm glad to hear you mention moving some of those events. That's one of the things I was hoping for is that, like I said, the Spring Classic or Short Track would move to somewhere else. And I did hear you mention your crowds have been really good, and the pictures I saw of your championship night, that looked like a really good crowd. I mean, I think championship night at most tracks brings out a few more people because friends and family want to see their driver do well that night. But I think it was a little bit better at Rockford this year than most years. Would that be a fair assessment?
Oh, by far, we've had a banner year attendance wise, and then yeah, obviously last weekend championship night was the largest crowd I've seen. I mean, I haven't had a chance to go back in the history books, but I can go back in my mind and go, wow, this was really good. And we had a bunch of cars too that came out again, that last run type deal, and great racing at the quarter mile high bank always kicks out, and great crowd. So it was a good night.
And I
David,
know
have you go ahead.
I was just going to say from up here, I know Jeremy Wolf and Taylor Goldman. I think that might have been Taylor's first race at Rockford going down there. But um, the folks from up here are definitely going to miss it because Minnesota drivers have had some success through the years at Rockford. So it's kind of neat to see them make the tow down there when Elko has an off weekend.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Jeremy Wolf and the girl. I keep forgetting her name, but she
Taylor,
come Taylor. Yes, thank you. She had came a couple of weeks ago in a Roadrunner, and then this weekend or last weekend had both cars. And Jeremy Wolf, I don't know how many times he's made it down. As we all know, that's a long haul from there to Rockford, but that's a he was always just excited to be there. I mean, he wanted to do it, so God bless him.
and Jeremy actually made it. He was like in a parade in his hometown on Sunday morning. So I'm guessing as soon as they were done in Rockford, they drove all through the night to get back home and then get the car in an open trailer to pull it in a parade on Sunday. So those are the kind of people we need in short track racing.
Yeah, good for him. Good to hear that story. I'll talk to him when I see him here at short track weekend.
Dan, you should check to see if those figure eight guys are going to come down for that big final on October 28th.
I would imagine they'd be watching. I don't think any of them have any cars left anymore at this point, though. It's been we just had the 10-year Raceway Park reunion last Friday, so I know what it's like to have a track really close to home closed down because it's been 10 years this year since Raceway Park in Shakopee shut down. So
Well, that's the one thing I've heard all summer, all season long, and is people thanking us for doing that this final season. For me, I kind of wish we wouldn't have because it's been a nightmare. But in reality, I'm glad we did because the people down here, the Raceway Park, or Blue Island, the Ileana, the Santa Fe, Lake Geneva people, they just said, nope, racing's over, we're done, and no season. So I've had a lot of hugs and shakes of the hand to say thanks for doing this final season. And that means a lot. And like I said, it's been a tough year. I'll say that because every lap, every position, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be the last champion. So between my tech staff and our race officials, we've had our hands full. And but all for the good, like I said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. David, did you ever race?
No, but I do have the record for the slowest lap at Rockford Speedway
Well, congratulations.
on the sweeper.
Uh,
Yep. Or the blow truck or the jet truck, whatever you call it. No, I was able to play in a lot of cars over the years, and yeah, I was always afraid to race, and we were gonna take the Rockford cars to Blackhawk Farms, the road, excuse me, what is that? What is the Road America? Not Road America, Blackhawk Farms.
yeah, Blackout Farms a road course, I believe,
Road
down there.
course. That's the word
Yeah.
I was looking for. Thank you. Sorry about that. We were going to do something after the season with our short tracker cars, and my brother Tom and I at the time, we were going to get these cars and go run the road course. And we told one of the drivers, and he goes, "Oh, I can't wait." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, the first turn, I'm next to you. You're going sliding through the turn and into the grass." And I thought, you know what? I don't really think I need to do this anymore. So that kind of ended my racing career.
wow. Who are some of your heroes growing up watching there at Rockford?
Wow, that list is huge. Joe Shear was always a fan. As I grew up and doing some announcing stuff, you never wanted to get Joe Shear. You wanted him to win, but you never wanted to interview him because you had to answer your own question and he would nod. But you go back, the Dick Trickle was a favorite of mine all the time. So those are the old days. There's so many people over the years that it's hard to pick one, or any, a handful. But a lot of great racers over the years, a lot of failures of racers over the years. You've seen these guys with big money come out and all this stuff, and they can't even get out of their own way. So you can see true talent. Just going back to like last Saturday night, Bobby Wilberg, a 7-time track champion at Rockford alone, all over champion. He comes down, wins his heat, and wins the feature last Saturday night. So that was pretty cool. And how often do you get a hug from Bobby Wilberg? Not very often. And that was pretty darn cool.
Nice. What were some of your best memories as a kid growing up working Rockford Speedway?
Well, I know how to wrap hot dogs, make hamburgers, all the food service side of the things. One of the best stories I had was my father had a van that he would haul everything around in, and after the race, he would save these Coca-Cola cup boxes, these big tall boxes that Coke cups came in, or Pepsi, whatever it was. And at every race night, we'd throw a couple in the back of the van. So Sunday morning, here we go back to the speedway, and they'd drop me off at the entrance out off at Forest Hills Road at the time, and say, "Don't come in until the parking lot's picked up." So I'm only 8 years old, and we used to cut a hole in the side of this box and drag it through the grass in the parking lot. And then one day it was really, really hot, and I sat down in the shade behind this box. And then here comes the van and my dad. "What the heck do I do?" And yelling at me. So, that a weird story, but I still remember that to the day, And another real good one, real quick, is I was the youngest. I am the youngest in the family. So, well, let's say you get all those S jobs. So we had the septic pumping one day. So they decided that my dad wanted me to look inside of it. So I wore glasses for my eyesight. So they duct taped the side of my glasses to my head, hung me upside down in the septic tank, and said, "What do you see?" So, well, it smells in here. I know that. And then I'm upside down trying to figure this stuff out. So, anyway, that's just a couple sidebars. Is in this business, you got to learn how to do everything. It's just sink or swim.
That
So
that
flagman,
is
they
the,
learn how to do it. Announce, just got to do everything. You're very versatile in the racing business.
the septic tank story. That's the definition of a true shit job there, I gotta tell you.
Oh God. What was your favorite role, David, out of everything you've ever done? Which one do you look back fondly on and be like, that was awesome?
Well, that's a couple good points there. I love being the announcer, and I don't have enough time to do it all the time. I You can just have so much fun, and make fun of people, and they don't even know it. And you build the crowd, you build the excitement. Recently, being in the role as general manager, and you see the grandstands full, and you see a full field of cars, and the people cheering, that that hits home. That's where it's all at, and that's real good. That's a good feeling.
For sure. What are you most excited about in these final weeks of racing at Rockford?
Well, no rain would be. We're zero rainouts this year, so I'm knocking on wood every day that doesn't happen. It goes back to the thrill of the fans, and like I said, all these people come and they want to tell stories and history and memories. We had a guy, gentleman at the office today who lived across the street from the speedway at the old. There was a horse stable, Rock Cut Stables, that they would teach you how to ride and ride horses. And he goes, "Yeah, I used to come over and mow with the old John Deere and the bush hog, and so you get a lot of that. I mean, and there's so many years of that. It's just how do you can't put it in one little box. So it's really cool to hear the stories of my dad and my mother, and even some of my family, and that's really cool. I'm glad we're able to enjoy that. Like I said, to do this last season has certainly opened that door for a lot of people, and we'll see where it goes from there. How do we decompress from all this after 76 years? That's a tough one. So we'll see.
Are you planning to, as a family, to put out maybe like one of those coffee table books that have like the Deery family Christmas cards in it, and then a lot of the other racing memorabilia, pictures of things like that?
There has been talk, and we've been gathering our boxes and piles and files of photos and old clippings, and trying. I've honestly been too busy to concentrate on that. A couple of my brothers have a little bit, but ultimately we hope to have on the site. The site area will be probably Speedway corners, so there's a reference to what was there. Hopefully, a memorial of some sort. We're trying to work out those details, but try to have a race season and do this construction project at the same time. So it's in the works. I can't just tell you exactly what it's going to be. There's way too much history just to let go out the door, obviously. So that's where we're at.
Sure. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. I'll be buying a copy of whatever you put out, that's for sure. So, talk a little bit about what you think your parents might say at this point. I mean, obviously, you can't control the fact that Rockford just keeps bearing down on the racetrack to the point where you guys are kind of getting overrun. I mean, things do change. But how do you think your dad, what would he say to you as you're continuing to try to navigate all of this and you guys are moving towards the end here?
I think both my father and my mother would be very proud of what we've done. Um, as we all know, over the last 40 years at least, that Rockford's closing, everybody's closing. They're the city's coming in on us, and we've succumbed to all that, and we're still going. We made it this far that the land's very valuable that we're sitting on, and we're in a good development area. So I believe they'd be proud. I know, you go back in the day when we were out in the middle of nowhere, and 7 miles north of Rockford was the tagline on the posters, that the people in the grandstands complained about the pig farm across the street because it smelled like pig do. So come full circle. There's the one lady now that lives up on the hill. Every time we shoot a firework off, she calls. So that just kind of a little jab in your side, like, oh yeah, get over it. So now we shoot a lot of fireworks anyway, but so legal and on illegal. But so yeah, I bottom line, it is very sad that we are closing it, and but their time has come on that property, and I believe and I hope my mother and father are proud of us.
Yeah. What was the best piece of advice either your mom and or your dad ever gave you?
Wow, that's a good question. I I know what my dad would do if you screwed up. He'd say, "Turn around and bend over," and he'd kick you right in the ass because that's the way we grew up, and so you knew not to screw up. That's and I take that to today. You take that through your whole life. For example, as children, and there was 8 in this house, and it was dinner time, and mom or dad would blow the whistle. So everybody had to run to the kitchen or wherever the whistle was being blown, and the last one there got the paddle. And unfortunately, I'm the youngest and the smallest, so the older brothers would drag me and throw me down the steps, and they'd beat me down. So I got a lot of paddling as a kid, but then I'd say, "Dad, Tom grabbed me and tripped me," and then he'd paddle them too for doing that. But it's a good thing that the respect and that that stuff is just. I wish today's world would be like that and do that to today's kids, because there's not a lot of respect left in this world on that aspect. But we won't go into that subject. But anyway,
No argument, actually. No argument at all on that. Talk a little bit about I get because Susan talked a little bit about some of the vacations that you guys would take as children that weren't really vacations. I mean, they were kind of working trips, right?
oh, a lot of them, yes. And if there was an interstate, my father would stay off it. We would go down the back roads. He loved, and he'd take photos, and he'd love different things. I mean, he was always looking for stuff, ideas, building ideas. Um, some of the trips, we would go and work at a concert, do parking at a concert, and then go to the concert. We would go to races. We'd go to the drag strip and park cars, and then sell soda. And so we were a very active family, and that's I always appreciated that. And I even growing up through high school, and you go, oh, geez, I got to work Saturday night, and my friends, oh, well, we're going out and we're going to go to this and do that, and I'm thinking, well, guys, you're going to go spend $100. I'm going to go make $100. So I think I just made $200. You know, that's just kind of the mentality, and it's still today. We work weekends. I work weekends. I do events on the weekends. So that's probably gonna be the biggest thing I'll miss next year. Thank God I got other deals going on, but Saturday nights or Sundays or whatever it is, that's showtime, and that's what you lived up for.
For sure. Well, like you, I grew up as the baby of the family. So that comes with a lot of things you mentioned about how you were always the one that ended up getting the paddling. But your siblings also sometimes happen to think that you're the parent's favorite because you're the baby. Was that the mantra in your household too?
Well, I think when there's 7 boys and 1 girl, that her nickname was Queen Bee. I think she took the honors there. I'm sure as the young one, I probably have a little sympathy from some of them, but Susie, we think was that one.
Funny. Who did you share a room with growing up? All of you boys in one room?
Well, at one point there was my brother Chuck and my brother Brad and myself in one room, and then as well as they moved on or went off, that was the three-boy room. There was the two-boy room, and then my sister and in her own room over there. But yeah, big house. That's what I mean. It was when the whistle blew, you were running. Didn't drop everything you're doing.
When you hear whistles nowadays, do you still find yourself running?
I have that look. Like, what was that? Good point though.
I
I think
bet. I
I think
bet.
I'm gonna bring a whistle with when I go to Rockford this fall.
No paddles though, Dan.
No, no.
Who was the biggest instigator in your family out of the kids?
Ooh, that's a good question. All of them, or all hooligans, really. That's one thing my mother, and father taught me was, um, you know, don't be afraid. Just you got to try stuff, and sometimes we tried stuff that got you in trouble, but and that just kind of carries into business. If we're in this racing business and you're afraid, yikes, because as we know, it's a gamble. Every time you open up a racetrack anywhere, either weather or some fatality, catastrophic accident, there's risk all the time. And people go, well, how do you stomach all that? And I go, that's I've been doing it my whole life. It's you're born into it. So it yeah, it's not that difficult, but you got to have that at the back of your mind.
David, I appreciate you. I know Dan does too, taking the time to be on the Racing Nuggets podcast. Appreciate you sharing your stories, and I hope everything goes gangbusters and no rainouts at all for the remainder of this season for you guys.
Well, that'll be probably the first time since the '80s when we had the drought. I remember that year we were actually hoping it would have rained because we wanted a weekend off because it was straight through, and but this year's totally different. I'm thrilled that we didn't have any rainouts because, like I said, the crowds have been excellent, and I don't want to ruin those people's plans. I can't predict the weather, obviously, but and people scheduled. I mean, they were traveling from all over the country this summer. That people that had moved away that had come back, they wanted to do the one deal one more time, and so to get those events in and to get that experience for those fans and racers, that's really really cool.
It has been a very special place for so many people, myself included. Got Hot Wheels here on the back of my screen here, but I lost plenty of Hot Wheels cars at Rockford Speedway as a kid in the grandstands.
Well, we still pick them up, and I just saw one yesterday, honestly, on a shelf that somebody lost, and I can't throw that away. Some kid's gonna come back and be looking for whatever number it was. So yeah,
My
there's a lot of history. The playground at Rockford. That's where we all started out, and I remember I was playing in the playground, and I went into the ticket office, and at the end of the night, and I poured the sand out of my shoes into the garbage can, and my dad came in to dump the garbage at the end and put two and two together. Well, I didn't get kicked that night, but I got yelled, "Put that sand back in the kitty land, not in the garbage can." So from there on, you learn how to respect stuff, and I appreciate having parents that taught us all that well.
the Hot Wheels story reminds me of just a few weeks ago. My son brought up that when we were going to Raceway Park and Shakopee on Sundays all the time, he dropped his Hot Wheels down several times every week. And they got to a point where they just gave me a key because the back side of the grandstand had a padlock on it, so you had to open the gate to go in there to get your stuff that you dropped. So they just gave me a key because I was down there every week. So I'm hoping to I brought him down to Rockford probably 15 years ago. He's 25 now, so we're hoping to make the Bahama brackets and maybe the last show at the end of October too. So looking forward to that.
Good deal. You're always welcome. You know that, and I'm glad you're coming down. And unfortunately, this will be the last time you'll. So you got to come. Now
I
I
d-
just you just got to.
I will be
Indeed.
down there as well. I'm thinking about doing the National Short Track Championships and that last lap season finale as well on the 28th of October. So,
So let's go back to short track real quick. The
hmm
super late models. People have asked that is a race on Saturday night. Super lates plus everything else we're doing. A few years ago, I took them off the Sunday card and brought in the big 8 late models for that, and I think that's the right deal to do. That's the basically the car, the Rockford Rules style car that my father introduced back in the 70s. And so one twist to it, and we play a lot on the big 8 name, the 8th place or 8th fast time, they get a free tire. So at Rockford last year, I think it was 4,008 to win, and then second place was 3,000 or something, and then eighth place paid the same as second place, so it was 3,008 for eighth place, and we're doing that again this year. And if you and my theory, and it worked, proved it last year, is we have two races within one, because the guy in eighth, ninth, or 10th, he knows not going to win. And so, what's the point or 15th, to get these guys back out and run? And it ended up, we had a great battle for eighth, and one guy slowed down and one guy sped up. And the ironic thing, I don't know if it was second place car had an illegal tire on the pit stop, so we had to put him to the back. So the guy that thought he was going to win the money in eighth place moved up a spot to seventh,
Oh,
and it was Dale Nottestead actually. So he won.
oh,
He got not DQ'd. He got put down a lap, and then he got into eighth place and won the bonus money. So a little twist to a race. Kind of, I really like it. And again, to entertain the fans. That's all we're here to do. And we have the poster on the wall that my father says is "Thou shalt entertain the customer," and that's what I'm here to do.
dang right. Oh, I love that. I'm excited for that. And I think that should probably be the title of the book that eventually comes
There
out.
you go. Good idea.
Yeah, I love it. Well, David, thanks so much for being our guest.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.